Hello, my name is Jeff G. My last name is spelled G-H-E-E, pronounced G. I am the head instructor of Corpus Christi Downtown Karate, South Texas Budo Training Center. We are located in the United States of America in the state of Texas, in the city of Corpus Christi, also known as South Texas. So I have been given a list of questions to answer, so I'll be reading them and then answering them myself. My current rank, I have a 7th Dan in Shotokan Karate Do, and I've been fortunate enough to also earn and receive a 6th Dan in Goju-Ryu Karate Do. The lineage for my Shotokan is, of course, starts at Gichin Funakoshi, then Sensei Obata, and then it is Sensei Nishiyama and Sensei Vincent Cruz. They were both instructors of my current instructor, Ricardo John Sr. His rank is now a 10th Dan, that he was promoted to 10th Dan by the government of Panama, from the president of Panama. So he is actually the first non-Japanese whose country has promoted him to that higher rank. My Goju-Ryu lineage is Miyagi Chojin, and then Gogen Yamaguchi, and then Peter Urban, and then my instructor is Dr. Belfort Wright. Hanchi, he is a 8th Dan. The next question is, how long have I been practicing karate and what style? So my major style is Shotokan, and actually this year, this summer, July, was my 40th anniversary for practicing karate. I started in 1980 in Columbus, Ohio with my instructor, Alan Phillips. And so actually this year marks my 40th year. And this year also marks my 18th year of studying the Goju-Ryu karate. The next question is, what made me choose karate? Well, I have to be honest, I didn't choose karate. I would say it chose me. As a child, I always wanted to do some type of martial arts. And back then when they had TV guides, I would always flip through the TV guide, which tells you what is supposed to come on TV. And I would see these advertisements for Taekwondo. However, the classes were very expensive and not really close to my house. But then one day, in the summer of July, me and my good friend were sitting on his back porch, and my first instructor, who then became my first instructor, was jogging by and said, "Hey, you two, I'll be starting a karate class next Tuesday at the rec center, so you two should come up." So the next week, I went up and started training, and I never stopped. It just so happened the style that he was teaching was Shotokan karate. So that's why I would have to say that I didn't choose the style, it chose me. Had he been teaching Taekwondo, I probably would have been doing Taekwondo. I'm just happy it was Shotokan karate because after years and years of training, I know how special Shotokan karate is and its place in traditional karate. The next question is, how did karate help me physically and mentally? Karate doesn't really have a season. It is always ongoing from year to year. And so with the karate training, I was always doing push-ups, always doing sit-ups. We were always doing exercises. So we really didn't have a beginning and end to the karate season. So that was kind of the kickoff for me to start my continuous training. And since the age of 12, in which I started karate, I have always been exercising. How did it help me mentally? Because there were a lot of tough training back then. There were no cell phones, and so the training was a lot harder. And so you would find yourself sitting in horse stance for a long time. You'd find yourself doing 100 punches. maybe 200 or 300 jumping jacks and things like that. And the kumite was very tough back then, with very little equipment. And so by being able to forge through the 5 years of training, even before I was even able to test for black belt, everything else was pale in comparison to that type of training. Even when I got out of high school and I went to boot camp was fairly easy for me because I had already faced that type of in-your-face yelling and toughness from my instructors, and also, you know, having to do kumite. So physically, it kept me exercising. Mentally, after I tested for my black belt, I feel like I could basically put my mind to it and do just about anything. The next question says, what is kata and why is it important? But that question also goes with the question after that. It says, what is my response to people who say karate can't be used for modern self-defense? So the two go hand in hand. I really like both questions. Kata is a series of basic techniques put together in a certain sequence, in a certain pattern, with a certain goal in mind. Kata also allows you to train on a wide variety of techniques in a certain pattern. But more important, a quote from my instructor is, kata is kumite. So if you have that mindset when you're doing kata, that starts to point you in the right direction as the usefulness of kata. Kata is also application seeking principle. And then so kumite is the principle seeking application. And both of those quotes are also from my instructor. But as far as kata, why is it important? Again, it allows us to practice on a wide variety of techniques. Some techniques that we may forget about. But kata also is laid out to point us in the right direction to be able to use karate for self-defense. Now, I believe that kata can be used for self-defense against one person, maybe two. After that, it really becomes difficult because you may have attackers coming at you from all sides. However, the application of the kata when you're using it for self-defense probably won't look exactly like it does when you're doing the kata. So when people say that karate can't be used for modern self-defense, I don't know that self-defense is either modern or old. An attacker is the same attacker, whether it's 10 years ago or 50 years ago. A punch to the face is the same punch to the face. You have to be able to block it. And after you block it, you probably want to grab the person's arm and take them to the ground and put them in some type of submission hold. And a lot of people seem to forget that there is a lot of groundwork in karate also, but it is whether or not you train or you're instructed on that. But back to the question is, why is kata important? Again, because it allows us to, if you take Heian Shodan, it allows us to go through each move or every two movements and say, if this happened, I could possibly do this. If this happened, I could possibly do this. So the application of karate by using kata depends on how you're training, whether or not who's ever instructing you understands how to train for that. You just can't do static kata against a basic karate punch. You know, you have to also remember that karate is self-defense against an untrained fighter. So there's a lot of different variables involved in that, but the most important thing is that you study the kata. Training a kata means you may do it 5 or 6 times. If you're going to study the kata, then you may take 1 or 2 or 3 movements of the kata and see and try the applications against different attacks from different sides. A block can be a block, but a block can also lead into a grab, as in aikijitsu. A grab can lead to a takedown. And so if you're unable, or your instructor is unable to transition from Kihon into the Kata, from the Kata into the Kumite, and then you will never probably understand the full magnitude of being able to use karate through Kata for self-defense. All right, the next question says, due to COVID-19 crisis, any tips for practicing at home? When the United States, we went into lockdown, I was already doing some online classes. So for me, all I did was have to transition the rest of the students to the online, and then we started to use Zoom. Once I got everybody online and being able to see the different areas that people had, you only need enough room to step forward and step back. And if you're lucky, to be able to step to the right and step to the left. So you don't need a lot of room. You need a lot of creativity as opposed to having a large room. Some of my students had a large area, some had small areas and things like that. So I did the classes based on the smallest area that somebody had, and it worked out. But as long as you can take one step forward and one step back, and maybe a step to the left and to the right, you can do any kata, you can do any training, you can do any kumite drills. It's just knowing that if you can take one step forward, you can take the next step back. Like you step forward to punch, step back to block, and then turn left to kick, and turn right to back fist and reverse punch, something like that. So it takes a lot of patience for one, and some creativity, but for the most part, it takes determination that you just need to put your gi on. Put your gi on. Don't do it in your clothes, because you won't feel the same. You put your gi on, you clear out as much room as you can, and instead of trying to work on a large variety of technique, you narrow it down to 2 techniques, a block and a punch. And then towards the end, you throw in a kick, and that will get you going. All right, the next question is core workouts and techniques that I use to up my game. Core workouts, every morning I will do some type of stomach exercise, sit-ups, crunches, different things. I take about 2 minutes every morning to do what I call my wake-up workout. And then for me, I found out that some weight training helps with karate a lot, because we do so much punching and things like that you need to have some resistance, but also you need to have resistance on punching pads or makiwara boards and things like that. So it's kind of a balancing game, but definitely, especially the older you get, you do want to do some weights, not heavy weights, light weights with high repetition is good. You also want to do some running, maybe a mile twice a week would be good, or half a mile twice a week. So, but my core workouts is my abs, push-ups, and some weight training, and knowing when to scale back your training, and then knowing when to up your training. You can't operate on a high level for a long time, because when you're doing that, you're training as though you're getting ready for an event. But if you're just training in a dojo and you don't compete or anything, then you really have to watch when and where you plateau and when to bring it back down. And for me, through the summer, I'm going up, but just like now, this time of year, towards September, October, I start to taper off, so that, you know, that 2 or 3 weeks that in December, I'm pretty much have stopped doing a lot of those extra exercises and allow my body to rest and recuperate. All right, so here we are. The last question is advice to people who would like to start karate. My advice to anyone who likes to start karate is, first, visit at least three dojos, 2 or 3 dojos, 4 if they're in close proximity to your house. When you're at the dojo looking, always pay attention to see if the kids or the students are fearful of the instructor or if they're enjoying themselves. Also, you know, if you are sitting in and there are some parents there, you may want to listen to what they're saying. Maybe they're saying that they don't like how the training is going and things like that. So, but for the most part, you want to go and visit some different dojos and then get there early so you can see how the students react to each other before class starts. You know, if there's a lot of laughing and smiling and talking and things like that, that's a good indication that people who go there enjoy themselves. And after class, if everybody's kind of hanging around, not really wanting to leave, because that means they really like the place and they like the dojo. However, on the other hand, is after class everybody shoots out the door, then you may want to question, well, why doesn't anybody want to hang out and talk? You know, things like that. So, and you just have to talk to the instructor, and if their main goal is to get you to sign this contract so we can get you going, that's probably not the best place for you, because they just really want to try to get the money. As for me and my dojo, I don't sign anyone up unless they do my 2 free classes. You have to do both. I'll get people who come in and they'll say they love it, I want to sign up, and I say, hold on, you know, wait till you do the next class. And sometimes they don't show back up. So especially with young people or kids, I always make them do the class, the first class and the second class, and really think about it and talk to them and things like that to make sure. And when I do sign people up, I always let the parents know this is just a month trial basis. If it's good, it's good. If it isn't, at the end of the month, you can walk away. You don't owe anything. But I also don't do contracts. I don't like to lock people into contracts. So as far as my advice to people is, again, the hardest thing about karate is showing up. The easiest thing about karate is showing up. So I want to thank everyone for listening, and thanks for the opportunity to be a part of such a great event. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing karate, and peace to you all. Thank you so much.